Welcome. It's your boy Carcino, and let's get to some Patreon shit. Let's go. God damn it. Let's get to some real. My foot's doing a little better. It's coming to the office here. What should we talk about? Expose why the Taliban attacks really happened. Should we do that? Right now? Maybe later. Now, we need to focus on something else. Something many of you don't get to see. And you've seen it, but you just don't quite understand it. You might be like, well, what does you mean? What is he saying? What I mean is this. Right? What I mean is this. How many times you've heard, and by the way, it's August the 28th. How many times have you seen or you've noticed around this little globe that's spinning, minus the drill? The world's spinning so fast. Everybody's caught up in the United States of America. Look, zoom right in on Chicago. Look at that. And in that place of Chicago, it's just like that place in Detroit, Iowa, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, everywhere. Okay? But let's get into some shit. Because they only want you to focus on one thing. Black and white. Black and white are not colors. Did you know that? They're shades. So, black and white is the real fight. That's what they want you to believe. It's not. You think you're competing with someone who's white. They don't like you because you're black. And that's holding you back. There's no way you could succeed then, right? If that's the answer, so you might as well not try. Boy, you guys really don't get it. That's why there's a Patreon version. Because you don't get it. Now, I think better when I move. These people be like, why are you always moving around? Because I'm used to giving meetings and I'm used to moving. I'm used to talking to more than one person. And I have to move from here to there to here. And they see it. When they see you move, it's energy. It's power. You can sit down and do it, but it's more of a resounding effect. Move. Plus, I've always been a mover. Now, let's get to it. The key to this Because you believe that you're in competition with white people and black people and all that, right? And you believe that this is a contest. One that you might win or lose. We don't know. Either which way it goes. But one thing is for certain. We know it's because white people don't like us. That is the reason why. No. You're in competition with the ignorance barrier. You're in competition of knowledge. The less you have, the less information that you have, the less chances you have to survive. It's not about rich or poor, because there's a lot of people who don't have a lot of things monetarily that they have in knowledge, and they can survive and live very, very prominent lives. And they don't really have much, but they know how to get something for less. There's a lot of rich people that pay all this big money for this cable and all of these things hooked up, satellite dishes and all of that. And there's a poor person right now that got everything like that in his house. Probably illegally, but he got it. He fire sticked it. And can get a lot more too. Because he got this guy who's a hookup. He give $40, boom, he got it. He got the same thing for less. So it's not about that. Right? It's not about that at all. This is the Patreon version of the video that you've probably seen on YouTube. All right? This is the Patreon version. So, you just get more context here. The reason that you don't have a lot of the information provided to you is because they extracted it from you. They didn't want you to find out none of these narratives. Okay? Other people fear things that they can't understand or explain. They fear it because they don't know. So they want you to fear what you don't know. Your lack of knowledge is the reason why you are always kept in fear. Now, if you want to remain in fear, all you have to do is stay complacent. Stay where you are. Don't ever try to be anything more than what you are. Work a job, go there, hopefully get some raises till you die or retire. And hopefully you push this fear into your children to do the same. So it's the level of the education of what you're being taught. Right? For instance, let me put this away. There's a lot of talk about greatness and what is great, what is not great. We're going to do a little exercise. For your viewing pleasures. Okay? white people. Okay, this dot represents white people, even though it's black. Okay? White person, all right, never really leaves their bubble. They live in a radius about this much. They don't normally travel past this line. They go in this little circle. And in it, all the little bitty dots, that's just like them. And if they ever leave out of this dot, they leave with a bunch of other groups like them. They never leave this barrier without others that are just like them from this group. They don't leave alone. Blacks. This is our dot. And we primarily are in an area just like the white person, right? And we don't normally go outside and surrounded by a bunch of other small little dots within this circle who do the same thing. Don't usually leave this radius, right? Now, if we leave the bubble, we normally leave by ourselves. They leave in groups. We leave the bubble by ourselves. That's the difference. Now, you might say, well, what's this means, right? That means this is why you would always have okay, there it is. One black person in a group of predominantly all whites. And the black guy said, these are my white friends. And he'll have a whole group of white people here, right? And then the white person only has one black friend. See? Get the picture? So, there's never a realistic approach to this equation. Why is that? Why don't we leave in groups? Why is it normally the one? Because of knowledge. Your lack of knowledge of people, which is your ignorance. Ignorance is the lack of knowing, the lack of knowledge. You're ignorant to something. And that's what's happening here. People talk about Asian culture. And they don't know it until you actually meet someone who's Asian. Then you learn about Asian culture and learn about them as a people and what they like, dislike. And then you realize that I don't hate you at all. But all you know from them is television. Indians. You don't know anything about them until you start learning culture and to why they do things. and say, hey, we don't do this way because of this. People respect people once they start to know and learn things about them. If a person and a white person was ever to really talk and have a conversation, that reduces the fear. And if you realize that there's nothing to fear, then of course you just eliminate black, white, Asian, Indian, and then you look at them as just regular people. Just another person. That's all. Maybe this will make sense to you one day. Maybe it won't. But it's imperative that you learn these things. And the reason why I say it's imperative is because it's very important for you to learn it. Education is at an all-time low for African Americans. We're probably the most ignorant we have been in our lives, in our civilization. And it's getting worse. And the less you know, the more you're susceptible to drugs, violence, jail, early death. So this is why I always put this out here and do this and take these risks, because you have to know. I don't want them to ever say he didn't teach me something or he didn't show me. He didn't educate me. I'm educating you. This is a free education. Something that's not normally taught in your classrooms. Now, you'll say, well, what's wrong with that? Because the one person that normally gets out of this circle is different from this circle. This circle has education. Vastly. So you have vast education, which equals opportunity. Vast education, opportunity. Vast education and opportunity here. In this bubble, we have poverty. Lack of education. Which leads to lack of knowledge. So in this bubble, the one that makes it is the exception to the rule. The rule of standard is death, jail, short lifespan. And you never leave this bubble. The one that gets out compared to the 8, 9, 10 that comes out, 10-1. The bubbles may look the same, but they're structured different. And they want you to believe you can never make that without the pen leaving the paper. Right? Because you don't believe it. If I told you I could make that same one dot in the middle and the same circle around it without this pen tip leaving the paper, the majority of you would doubt it. The majority of you would doubt it and say it cannot be done. because I just told you I could do it, and I have the knowledge of knowing that I can do it, you don't believe it because you can't fathom it in your mind, so therefore it cannot be done. So this is what they preach to you to keep you in this bubble. You understand? Now, if I was to go ahead and take you out of your imagination for a minute, I will show you I can do it because I already have the knowledge of knowing that I can. The tip of this pen will never leave this paper. See that? That's the circle, right? Now I must make a clear and precise. Hold on. No edit. I just gotta find something to do to hold this camera while I'm doing this. Hold on. How can I do this? While still holding. Let's try it this way. There we go. I don't want people to think I cheated here. Or did a camera cut. Uh-oh. We've reached an impasse. I gotta pause it. The pen's still on the paper. I gotta pause it so I could just put. Hold on. Okay, see, all I did was fold the paper upwards. The pen is still on the paper. Pen tip has never left the paper. Well, let's not look exactly because I was looking in the camera. But as you can see, dot in the middle, circle around it without the tip leaving the pen. Next time I'm gonna just get a camera holder. But you get the moral of the story, or the point. The point is, just because they didn't believe you could do it and you had a knowledge of knowing that you could, that doesn't keep them from putting that doubt in your brain. Right? Because they can't do it. Now, how many times somebody told you you couldn't do something? They don't even know if it could be done or not. They already know you can't do it. How do they know? Just be like, man, you can't do that. How? Because they're projecting they can't do it. And they probably can do it too. But it never processed in their brain to even try. Program of failure. Remember, your brain don't record things that you tell it to. It records, it's on automatic pilot. It records things that you don't even know it's recording. That's how the brain works. How many times you going around here singing lyrics to songs you never told your brain to remember? They've programmed failure here. So understand that. And thank you for your time.